When it comes to culture either side of the Atlantic, no one does it better. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you USUK's What's the Difference podcast with Alex Whiteley and Tom Bruno.
Really, like, up until when it's funny because the moment I said, I'm like, I'm gonna stop smoking for a little bit, I instantly was like, man, I'm gonna miss weed. I better smoke some more weed. Prior to that, though, like, when was the last time you actually saw me smoking on a podcast, Alex?
It's been a while. I think, I don't know, man. I lose count with this shit. But although I've been told apparently Facebook can like permaban you for smoking drugs or taking drugs on the internet, which is
okay.
Well, I think it gets a little tricky when it comes to things like cannabis, because obviously cannabis is, illegal in some places, but in my state, totally legal, 100%.
It's an odd one, isn't it? Because it is legal where you are, but not where we are. So this is where Facebook is kind of like, what did we do? Like, I hit record because I wanted to get that in, that little bit of conversation. That was quite nice.
It's okay for Whedon to do it, I guess, though, isn't it?
That bad Vermont boy is a horrible influence to all good standing citizens of the UK, and we can't have him smoking his drugs in front of us. That's bad.
We wouldn't like it, yeah.
Us Brits smoke cannabis? Never.
What happened?
Anyway, guys, welcome to the Jack Black Power Hour. Today's movie of choice is going to be Shallow Hal, and joining me today is Tom Bruno and our guest Pete White. How's it going?
Hey guys, good. Cheers. How are you guys doing?
Amazing. Shallow Hal. There's actually that dude with the spinal bifida, the one that like walks his hands on Shallow Hal. He's actually a Vermonter.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen him downtown a few times, and like the first time it like really blew my mind. I was like, I fucking know that guy. He's in Shallow. What the fuck is going on? It blew my mind.
Get him on the show. Be great to talk to him.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, I sent you the template for the emails because I wrote this, good email. I was like, ooh, I like the way that sounds. I like the way it rolls off the tongue. We can use this as a template for future guests because it takes a long time to write an email and then, craft it specifically, tailored for each and every individual. So like, having this outline is good. But then I wrote a director today and I looked at it and I was like, fuck, I didn't take Steve-O's name out of this thing. So I just asked a really cool director if you could have Steve-O come on the show. That's all good.
Of course, I was lying at the beginning of this. This is USUK's What's the Difference? And joining us today is our sponsor, Pete White from Web Orchard. Hey, how's it going, Pete? You okay?
Good. Cheers. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's obviously love the show and all that, so it's great to finally be on a show and have a chat with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've been dying to like properly. I mean, like I always say this. I don't downplay my own show. The biscuit. I don't know where Tom's gone. Is he all right? Just disappeared. Literally just died off.
Internet's just gone.
It's okay. Fuck it. He's fired. That's it. It's just us now. Hey, welcome to the show. It's just me. But no, I don't want to downplay the biscuit. But like, it's nice to like properly shoot the shit. Do you know what I mean? Like when you can like relax a bit more. I always find it's a bit more relaxing. I think
I've brought a beer with me today as well.
Yeah,
so
we all have. We were just talking then before the prelude, I guess, where we're giving up our alcohol and his weed for 40 days and 40 nights for Lent, which is
wow.
Which is going to be fun. I mean, I think I'll be okay. I'm not like, I don't like to drink a lot, but I think the problem is you were just talking about lockdown and how like it's the wrong time of year to be doing this, or the wrong year, should I say. But the thing is, I find myself recording a lot more lately, and I like to drink when I podcast. So it's kind of as a knock-on effect on kind of my vice, I guess.
Have you found you're drinking more in lockdown in general?
Mainly just because I'm podcasting more. That's why I'm drinking more, because it's I compare this, especially Wednesday Night Live when we meet with the guys. I compare it to like meeting down the pub, right? Because that's what it feels like. So we like to have a beer, or Tom likes to have a smoke, or we like to relax because we have a lot of fun, and that's That's what it is.
It's true.
Yeah,
very
it
true.
really is.
I've been doing the same with my guys. You know, we were even after tonight. You know, we've been playing Valheim. Have you seen it? It's like Minecraft, but it's set in Odin's times.
Ooh.
But it's a really cool game. Really cool game. You can get it on Steam. It's like 15 quid or something.
Is it like Ark?
Yeah. Is it
Not
like a
played
building?
Ark.
Is it like a building, kind of like living type situation?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so you can build. You're crafting workbenches, and then you're building huts and houses. And while this is happening, there's various things trying to attack you, and you're gathering resources and mining and all this sort of stuff. So it's a pretty cool game.
I like me and my wife fell in love with the game called The Long Dark. It's essentially like a survival simulation game where you crash land in the deep Canadian wilderness, and there was some sort of like geological storm that went through that basically like froze everything, and like temperatures, they're not too much colder. Surprisingly, my temperature's really cold right now. But it's like you're the last person in this area, and there's like no way to get out. You can travel this huge distance, but there's only walking. There's wolves, there's bears, and it's all about like just surviving. And you can build like little shelters. You can like add on to existing. It's very, very cool game.
Is that a game that you can just play by yourself, or is it cool to have your mates around as well? Because you have those times.
It's better with your mates. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do both. You can play it on your own, but it is better when you've got your mates with you for sure.
I mean, what do you prefer, Tom? We don't really talk about gaming much. Do you like gaming with your mates, or do you just like to just disappear into your own and just?
Yeah, I'm too antisocial for that type of thing, which is so weird. If I don't have a lot of time dedicated that I can give dedicated to video games, so like any allotted time is usually like a single person campaign or something along those lines where I can pause it and turn it off. It won't affect anybody else's play, because that's kind of like a dedication, right? You say, hey guys, let's jump on, Call of Duty at 8:00, and if you like, jam out in like the first round, like, shit, sorry, I have life to live, and you just leave, your people will be like, what the fuck? He was here for like 30 seconds, and now we're gonna get stomped by these Russians over here because we were one man down. What the fuck? So it's generally like first person. I always buy my games like with the idea of it being a single person, because like there's a lot of games now that are really like aimed towards multiplayer. I just really noticed the name behind your back. That's fucking amazing, Alex.
Oh, the
Monopoly.
Yeah, that's great.
That's because we moved out of the studio today at the parade.
Did you? How come?
So because we were making use of an empty unit, we weren't paying any rent. They were like, well, you can use an empty unit while it's empty. And now they've run out because the parade is absolutely boomed in Shrewsbury. People are really loving the place, buying up units. There's no units left, so this is where we part ways.
Oh, that's a shame.
Mutual. It's fine. They haven't gone, oh fuck the Shrewsbury biscuit, off you go. They've gone, we've got no room for you guys. I'm really sorry. If there's anything that comes up, we'll get in touch. But we were going to have that conversation anyway. This sounds like it wasn't me, it was you, or no, it wasn't you. We've been doing very, very well virtually on Zoom and StreamYard. We have a virtual show coming where we're going to get traders on to talk about, independent traders to come on and talk about it. We're all going to be doing all that on Facebook.
How's the Queen think about you bringing some traders on your show? I mean, isn't that a little like
Oh yeah, I forget you Americans say traders, don't you? You don't say traitors. You say traders.
Yeah, traders. A bunch of traders. I think you should go while the place is booming, hide in the walls and pretend you're a ghost. So then they leave. They're like, ghost, and like, we can't stay here. And then you have a podcast studio again.
Absolutely. But going back to gaming, I've been playing a lot of Battlefront lately, Star Wars Battlefront, and I couldn't play video games for nearly a year because I was staying at my mother-in-law's, which was amazing, but her internet wasn't brilliant, and we weren't going to upgrade her internet for us to stay there. That was just a ridiculous thing to even suggest. So now now we've moved in properly, and I can sit now with Shane Hinton from the Biscuit and James, who used to do Thorskin with me. We meet up. I literally go pew pew. I just send pew pew, and they go pew pew, and we'll just meet up and we'll just go pew pew. It's fucking amazing because you have your firing squad, and we play co-op, and you have to like reach all the challenges one by one. And I think the other night the game broke. It actually broke because it sent like 4 times more enemies than you could ever imagine. For this, it's like the second point. It usually gets harder and harder and harder. The second point, it would not let us take it, and it was just sending like waves and waves and waves of bad guys, and we were just all communicating. It's behind you. It's here. I've died again. Don't die. I'll be back again. And that's kind of what I missed about sort of online gaming. It's sort of just being where you make solving problems together.
I'm more of a kind of open world game. So I've just played through Ghost of Tsushima, absolutely stunning. And before that, I played through Days Gone. So that's what I prefer, the big open world sort of games.
I love Fallout and Skyrim, so I completely understand what you're saying. And Skyrim was like my first introduction to
likewise.
Yeah, not like spell. Like I've always, of course, known about spells and witchcraft and wizardry and all that type of stuff. But like, it was my first like real deep dive into the gaming version of that, because like I didn't play Morrowind. I didn't play what was one after that? It was Oblivion. I didn't play either one of those. But my buddy got me into Fallout really bad. Like Fallout 3 came out on the systems, and that was obviously my real like, dude, this is what you think video games are. This is what it really is. And just being able to totally immerse yourself into the area and all the little details and searching and kill all that great stuff. So when he came up with this game that was Skyrim, he was like, bro, this is like the new game by the studio that you like so much. I'm like, oh, cool, but spells, whatever. I like guns and stuff. And he's like, yeah, dude, but like, look at this map. Like, he shows me a map. He's like, do you see this mountain over here? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you can go to that mountain and walk on it. Everything you see, you can interact with. And for some reason, that sold me. I don't know what it is, because if you were to put a mountain in real life, he'd be like, look, you can climb that mountain. I'd be like, fuck you. I'm too busy. I'm tired. I don't want to do that. But you give me a virtual mountain, bro. I'm just challenge accepted. I want to get all the way up there.
I think Skyrim must have been the first game I put over 100 hours in.
Yes.
I think it was that. I don't know what it was about it, but I got completely hooked. And it's amazing how much into the culture it really has seeped in. I was on a tech demo earlier in the week for a bit of software, and the guy had set up the demo sites as the College of Winterhall, Riften, and a few other of these ones. And it was a dead boring demo, but we got about halfway through, and he asked me, he said, so are you an engineer? I said, well, I used to be an engineer, and then I took an arrow to the knee. And he just lost it. He just lost it. And then...
Yeah,
and we've lost Tom again.
Yeah, he's disappeared again.
Tom
We
with
can
the
carry on.
punchline.
I think this is going to be I don't know what's going on, but it's going to be a trend for the night. That's fine. But yeah, I think the last sort of RPG type game was genuinely like the original, and that was like sort of Final Fantasy. They're the kind of games I got into. I think it was just a case of we were used to sort of arcadey type games, PlayStation 1 sort of era. I'm obviously before then, but like that's when I really started getting into gaming. Like, you had your Doom and Tomb Raider and all these things, but there were always levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. I think I was just blown away. Final Fantasy 7 was the first one I played, where you had just days to spend on this game. And it was like you could go anywhere, you could do anything, you could be part of anything. That was kind of my only sort of RPG type games. I used to like. Did you ever play Total War?
Yeah. I used to enjoy Total War.
Yeah. But like I remember we did the interview for the Biscuit, and you showed me a picture of you taking part in a LAN party.
Oh, blimey that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking like they were the days, right? That was what I was thinking. Like I think about Big Bang Theory, right? People don't like Big Bang Theory a lot, but there was like there's certain parts of that show that always related back to me, and that was like when they would have Halo night and classic gaming night, things like that. When you'd have your mates around, you'd all be surrounded by a TV. That was awesome. I wish we could do that more often than what we do.
Those LAN games. I mean, it would be so much easier to do it these days because the technology back then was such a ball ache, and people were lugging around CRT screens and all these sorts of things. But yeah, they were good days. The days that we did those gaming days. But yeah, you can't do it at the moment, but we tend not to do it anymore. Yeah.
I feel like when this kind of dies down, the pandemic and stuff, do you think there'll be more of people sort of getting together, playing together physically around the screen, or it's just online now. Nobody's ever going to do that. That's a novelty. If you're ever going to do that, it's going to be a very rare occasion.
No, I think people want to get out.
Yeah.
I think people are just, as soon as this is over, people are just going to go crazy and want to get out and about again.
Yeah.
But even if it's getting back to pubs or holidays or anything like that, people. There's only so much you can be cooped up inside. I think there's only so much you can do over Zoom and that. It's
we've rescheduled our holiday for the third time, second time should I say. So, and it's a third different Greek island. I think we're going Kos now. I think it was Corfu. Can't remember the other one. No, it's Kos, because we have to keep pushing the date back. Because they would rather us do that than give us our money back. Do you know what I mean? I just want to go on the beach somewhere. I don't care how fat and horrible I look. Sunshine, by a pool. I don't give a fuck. I'm never going to see these people again. Get my belly out. I'm going to walrus the shit out of this and just roast for a week.
Pete, you seem to be pretty. I'm sorry to just because I was in the middle of that great conversation about tech and about games and stuff, and that was a lot of fun. And then for some reason, I think I know the reason. I'm sitting on my memory foam bed with my computer because my office is like -2 degrees right now. We're having like the worst weather of the year so far. It's really, really cold, and my office is above like an opened air portion of our house with no foundation, so it gets really cold. And so I've been bringing all my electronics and everything into my bedroom so I could do it here because there's heat in here. I don't want to freeze. But my memory foam bed, every time I would jostle, would like push up a little bit on the charger and all of a sudden just shut my computer right down. So I'm sorry that I'm just kind of in and out. But regardless, have you tried any of the new VR games?
No. And my son wants me to get a VR headset constantly, but I've just never. I mean, it's an expensive investment to start with for all the kit, and then you've got to buy the games on top of that. I would rather go down the PS5 route than I would a VR headset for PS4, if you see what I mean. So no, I've not tried it, but I would certainly be. I think once the price point comes down a bit, then yeah, definitely. It needs to hit that £100 sort of that £100 sort of mark, I reckon.
See, the thing is, like, when I started playing video games, like it was brand new and exciting. I mean, like, of course, Atari and things along those lines have been out for years, way before I was ever born. But like, Sega and Nintendo were really popping off at the time that I was born. So I had like these great systems, and it made me super excited to do these games and sit down and play them. Now, my buddy has and once again, like I agree with you, the price point is unfortunately very, very high. But I tried his VR headset, and the only introduction I had to VR was PlayStation 3s or 4s, kind of sort of VR with the wands, and it was really weird. It was very, clunky, and it just didn't play well. You're playing, and you're like, wow, this is just as bad as the VR that they had in the mid 2000s. But I tried my buddy's VR set, which is hooked up to a really nice computer, and we played Half-Life, the new Half-Life game.
Yes, yeah.
Now, I didn't play Half-Life the original or the Half-Life 2. I didn't play either one of those games. My buddy says the same thing, and I've seen videos of it. Looks great, but like I was a PlayStation guy, I wasn't an Xbox guy, so I missed out on that, and I just barely recently got into PC games. So I tried the VR set with the Half-Life, and mind you, once again, price point, but the fluidity of it all and like the way that you can interact with things, I'm like, wow, like this is getting me just as excited as I was as a kid. And not only that, it's very good, like super good. I can see how people get lost. I really feel like, while reading Ready Player One, I was like, that's never gonna happen nowadays. After trying it, I'm like, that's totally gonna fucking happen.
Yeah, I know I've read good things about. It's Half-Life Alyx, isn't it? That one.
Yes. Yeah.
I've read a lot of good things about that. And would love to try it for sure. Because it looks cool, and it's interesting to hear you say it is cool as well.
Well, it was the little things that would like the attention to detail they put into this VR set, because usually a lot of things get lost. Like that's always one of my favorite things is walking around in like a open world game. Like, wow, they really put a toilet with some shit stains right there. That's amazing. Wow. So in the game, what really interests me was first of all, you have the VR headset on. The screen opens up in front of you like it's the start menu, and there's like you're in a whole room of a start menu. It's not just this wall in front of you; it's a whole room. So like you turn around and there's like trees and noises, and you can hear it like stereo all the way around you, and it's like real life. So you go in the game, and I was on this ledge, and like I spent an hour on this ledge. I wasn't even playing the game yet, Pete. I was literally just like on this ledge, and there was like cans and bottles and stuff, and I'd pick it up, and you could crush it, or you could throw it, or do whatever you want, and it was so real that like I was trying to do the math in my head for like gravity and the fall rate for items, and it was really good. And the other thing that really sold me, there's two things. One, there was this big jar, and it had a bug in it. And you know, if you have a jar, it's made out of glass, it's hollow, you can like touch it. It makes different sounds depending on where you touch it with the thickness of the glass and, you know, the density and all that. So I go up to the top and it goes ding, ding, ding. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, well, you know, just go down, ding, 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 ding. And the closer you got, dude, it was so intense. And the last thing, because I don't want to stay on this all day, but the last thing was they had one of those like Peugeot racing bikes, you know, with the big wheel in the front and the curves. Handles. And if anyone's ever like tried riding one or tried pushing it, like you try ghost riding your bike or whatever the kids do nowadays, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I say it like I'm 90. So you can push a bike and it'll, you know, coast a little bit until it loses momentum and then it'll fall over. Well, if you've ever held one of those racing bikes, you know, the wheel's so big in the front that it doesn't ghost ride very well. It falls right over very clumsily, in fact. And that's what this bike did was I picked it up by the handles and I gave it a little push and it went smoothly for a whole second. Then it did the thing and went, oh no. And it fell right over just like a real bike would. And it blew my fucking brain out of my skull. And I was like, this is insane. The amount of time they put into this experience that I'm having right now.
Were you playing? Were you stood up doing this, or were you sat down?
I was standing up, and it's weird because like it was tethered to the ceiling, so like the cords wouldn't get in your way, and it was really well set up. My buddy's a really smart dude. And the other thing that really impressed me was he let my daughter, silly man he is, he let my daughter try it out, and she was fine. But like it's all based on where you're standing and what you can see.
Yeah,
and there was this box in this alleyway. And he's like, dude, there's something behind that box. I'm like, well, how do you get on there? He's like, oh, you got to use the controller to, you know, move it. That's the only thing they haven't gotten yet. They need a treadmill of some sort so you can really get into the interaction. That's how you move, is by the hand controller still. Regardless, the rest of it's great. So my daughter has this headset on and I'm like, hey, I wonder if this will work. And I pick her up and I lift her up over to where the boxes are because you can see what she's looking at on the monitor. And all of a sudden you see it go over the box and you can see her looking over the box. I'm like, that's fucking amazing. Just the realism and all the intention.
The future.
Yeah, this the future, man. It really is. And I think it might be like really like we're all talking about wanting to get out and stuff. This might be the cure for wanting to get out. And don't get me wrong, I love the outside. I can't wait for spring. I can't wait to go hiking and kayaking and all the fun stuff I do with my family. But like for in times like this, where if we could ever foresee being stuck in the house for long periods of time again, this might be the way to do it because you really don't feel like you're missing out on anything.
Yeah.
It's so real.
It's interesting. Like games like Pokemon Go that kind of kicked off a couple of years ago, and kind of there's a big buzz around it for maybe 6 weeks, and then it's kind of gone. And there was a similar one. There was a similar Minecraft one as well. Was it a Minecraft Worlds one, which I think Microsoft are canning sometime in April this year. But it's just interesting that those sorts of games haven't really taken off to be mainstream above the initial kind of hype around them, really.
I think didn't Pokemon Go sort of, I don't know if it knocked Fortnite off the top spot, but I think it nearly did, or maybe did for a little bit. Pokemon Go was one of the highest grossing games of history because people like mainly Japan, America, the big places where people consume were just like bam, 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 hitting these screens and buying the balls and doing all sorts of stuff. Pokemon Go really took off. It was immense.
The problem with Pokemon Go was they almost had me because I love Pokemon. If anyone's been keeping track of my Facebook page, I just really got my old Game Boy from 1998 fixed. I'm playing Pokemon Yellow. I fucking love it. That's why I've been spending my time on, not playing with friends. I've been like, let me play a game I played 30 years ago. So like I like Pokemon quite a bit, and I was gonna play Pokemon Go until I found out you couldn't fight your Pokemon with other people. I'm like, that's the best part about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like it's not the catching. Nobody cares about collecting these animals. That seems weird and strange. But like the whole fighting of the Pokemon, that's the fun stuff.
Absolutely. Well, look, I mean, we could sit and talk about games all
Yeah.
night. I mean, this is what we do, right? This is what me and Tom do best. But like, obviously, you're here for a reason. We wanted to talk to you about sort of Web Orchard because we, of course, you made our website for us for USUK and for the biscuit as well. By the way, I've got to explain how me and Pete met. It was so funny, right? Because I'm just venturing out into this thing, right? I don't know what the biscuit is, what it's worth, or anything, but I thought I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to get a go fucking go. So let's get a website together. So I threw up a Facebook Messenger thing. I need a website. Don't have any money. Can someone help me? There's a few people who got in touch. Pete was by far the coolest. He was kind of like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And we went to meet in a place called Stop Cafe, amazing, in Shrewsbury, and in Greyfriars, Shrewsbury. And I was shitting myself because I felt like I had to sort of, Dragon's Den the shit out of this. I've got a podcast. I think it's going to be amazing. You should definitely give me a website. I was thinking of this presentation. I think I brought my laptop and notebook and everything. I was like, business meeting. I'm going to sell this, right? So we go to this cafe. We don't know what each other looks like, and I'm sat there for ages. I'm thinking he's not here yet. I don't know where he is. What's going on here? So I emailed him. So Pete, I'm here. Are you here? And then I get an email. Yeah, I'm here. And I look across to the only other guy in the cafe sat across the way. We looked at each other and we're like, hey, he was like, hey. We've been sat in the same cafe for about 5 minutes together. We didn't know who each other were. And then so Pete comes and sits down, and I'm just about ready to give my big spiel, my kind of stand up, get the board. And what we have here are the figures for July. And if you look at August, we raised and all this sort of stuff. I went, yeah, I got a podcast. I want to try and help Shrewsbury. And he was just like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Simple. So down to earth. So yeah, thank you for that, by the way. You really did
I want
chill my nose
a
up.
million quid, pretty please. And he's like,
Yeah.
no, fuck, I thought I was on a roll. Thought I had him.
Well, I mean, Alex says it from his side of it. I mean, I'm sat there thinking I'm about to meet this big time podcast producer. Thinking how am I gonna sell us in there to build the website? What's the pitch I'm gonna give? But it all came together quite nicely, didn't it?
It did, and it's been going now for over a year, I believe.
Yeah, and it's nice that we've been able to get involved in the other stuff as well, and help you out there, really. So it's just a nice project to be involved with, really. It's a good, fun project, and it's a nice bit of exposure for us, hopefully, and hopefully, you guys are getting the most out of the website.
It's awesome.
If it's not great exposure, it is definitely the most entertaining exposure you'll ever get, because I've taken to, I don't know if you've heard any of the end, we always shout you out at the end of the show. We're always like, and we have an amazing website built by Web Orchard and blah blah. That was great, and I tried doing it really professional the first time, but then I had a lot of fun making up stuff about you. And the list of jobs that I've given you now, sir, are just phenomenal. I'm like, he was, curing cancer out in the Congo with monkeys, and then he decided he really wanted to give back to humanity by building websites for people, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. So if you ever hear something you really don't like, just drop me, be like, dude, don't say that about me. Be like, totally, my bad.
It sounds like they nobody to my LinkedIn skills.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's gonna be huge. They'd be like, so I heard you cured cancer. You'd be like, sure. Why not?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, if Tom said it must be true.
Those guys on that podcast.
And this is what I forget as well, because I shared that picture that I shared that I thought was brilliant, by the way. One of the best things I ever made. I love playing around with artwork, but that one of me with that flag behind me on there,
great,
and I'm touching the clouds. I put it on LinkedIn, and I tagged Pete in it, and I was kind of like, yeah, USUK, baby. It was a bit more professional than that, but then I forget, like, is Pete really going to want people to see what I've done with this? I forget, yeah. It's
what sort of reaction did you get on LinkedIn? Because I think I liked it like straight away.
My LinkedIn is I sort of started LinkedIn. Got like 12 connections, and sort of went away for about a year, didn't touch it. I'm starting to grow it now. I think about 265 or something like that. So I think I probably got 2 or 3 likes on that. We're starting to raise a bit of awareness on there. I'm getting like connections with like counselors and big companies and sort of people just sort of throwing me in there now. It's kind of nice if people sort of recognizing what we're doing. So yeah, I think LinkedIn. Would you swear by LinkedIn? Would you say it's a good place for someone to grow?
It's. I mean, I use it quite a bit, but I'm pretty sure that everybody that adds me on LinkedIn is some sort of business consultant that can revolutionize our sales. It attracts certain job roles more than others for sure. I mean, it's primarily a recruitment tool. I think it was built as. But yeah, I mean, I would post on there. It's good for work related stuff. It's good for profile building, to keep in touch with existing customers, that sort of thing. But yeah, you can't take it too seriously.
And where did Web Orchard start for you, Pete? Where does this all begin? Obviously, we've just been talking about all that geeky stuff at the beginning, but that's a stereotype, okay? We can't just stereotypes of people. But so where does it become? Where did you suddenly decide I'm going to design websites for people?
I mean, this June will be 15 years of me doing this, so it's quite a big milestone from that point of view. I mean, it started off with just the 3 of us. Back in sort of 2006 time, and I was always interested in websites and web design, that sort of thing, and kind of convinced my two co-directors at the time to start playing around with some web stuff, and we quickly started making a good name for ourselves and doing more and more, and it's kind of just grown from there, really, quite organically over the years, to the point where we're a team of 13 now, and yeah, everybody's working from home. We have a nice office in town where there's only one person in it all the time, but who knows what will happen in the future with the office anyway, because people seem to be getting used to working at home, and some people I think some people even prefer it.
I've had a few conversations like this, especially with local traders around Shrewsbury, and some people are for the office 100%. Like, you need to have home and relaxation and home problems, and you need to have the office work and work problems, right? So there's some people that are very much for having an office, and some people are like, it's quite nice. I can do a bit of violin, or I can listen to Ed Sheeran, or something a little bit ruder. It's each to their own, I imagine. With
yeah, definitely. I quite think I'm going to mix it up between a few days in the office, a few days at home, and it's just good not having to worry about the traffic. And this time of year, it's so cold out and about.
I think what your office offers, though, I got to share this with the listeners, is when I first met you guys properly to discuss the Shrewsbury Biscuit website. You made me feel like a fucking G, honestly. I turned up. It was like, hello, Mr. Whiteley. Want to join us in the conference room? And I did. You guys got me coffee, brought me some. I was like, I really like these placemats. You're like, have a bunch. Give me. All you need to buy me, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is really cool beer mats, placemats. And you brought the projector. You showed me the website. You made me feel like I was really like getting involved in something special. And I think you can't really do that from the kitchen of your house,
agreed.
Can you?
Yeah, agreed. And whatever happens going forward, we're still going to need some sort of meeting space. So we're going to need some sort of area where where we can get people in around the table and do stuff, because however good Zoom and Teams is there's some things that are still better face to face.
Yes.
We're never going to get away from that, I don't think.
No. And this is where I feel like I don't have to worry so much about like us moving away from the parade and having the studio, because I feel like that's always going to be there, because now you're going to have like these empty offices everywhere from where people have moved out of the office. Someone's going to have space somewhere for us to go to if they wanted us to be a part of what they're doing and stuff. So I've got no worries about stuff like, whether we're going to have a physical studio again, because we offer something really good to the town. So that's always be available to us.
Yeah, I think the way that we use the office space will be a lot different. People will come and go with hot desks and we might not have our own desks going forward. There'll be more probably collaborative spaces. People can come in the office when they want to brainstorm about stuff and have meetings. So I think the way that we use the office going forward will be a lot different to how it has been in the past, where everybody has their own defined desk and each area is very clear what it's used for. I think we'll be moving away from that sort of structure. That's for sure.
What's it like for you guys going from that though, from constantly being around people to being at home? What was it like for you guys at first? I mean, obviously, a lot of what you do is behind a computer anyway, but there's always that face to face, like you were just saying. Was that hard for you guys, or was it kind of like, oh, this is nice?
I think it's got easier over time for sure. I mean, it was definitely hard in that first lockdown. But I did 6,000 miles less in the car last year than what I would do on an average year, and in some ways, I actually prefer cutting down on some of that travel anyway. Certainly better for the environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so I think where I can cut down the travel, that would be good. But I know some of the other guys, they find it hard, especially the younger guys, that maybe rent a room somewhere and they're spending 22 hours a day in their bedroom, either sleeping, working, or gaming in the evening. It's very tough. Not everybody has a mansion, that they can come and sit in their separate wing and use that as their office. For a lot of people, working at home is working in the same room that they spend all their other time, and I think that's particularly tough on people. Really tough.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that have been showing like they've been making their office like an office, and they like decorate it like an office. They like really kind of like segregate it from the rest of the house. Like, no, this is like the only time I'm going to step foot in here is when it's business related, and everything else is going to be. And like you were saying, obviously not everybody has that chance, but I mean, you could probably do it in the bathroom if you really wanted to. Just set up like a pencil holder and a hang in there poster, and just be like, yeah, this is the office from now. I'm going to sit here and Zoom from my toilet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm converting my garage at the moment into an office, and I have been for the past 8 months. But trying to find builders is a nightmare. But the guys I've got in now looks like they're actually going to finish the job by hopefully the end of the month. So come early March or mid March, I should be in my own home office,
Nice.
which is the garage at the moment. So it's quite exciting, quite nice, quite something to look forward to, really.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But what were things for you business wise, sort of right from the beginning? Because obviously, lots of people moved to sort of e-commerce. People wanted that online presence. Was that a help for you, or was it what? I mean, explain to us what that was like.
It was a mixture, really. I mean, a lot of our work is event industry based, and all of that just dried up overnight, basically. Because if anyone was trying to run an event in the last year, it's been cancelled, as you know. So we, there was a push onto e-commerce, and we did pick up some jobs that way. That was good, but it didn't really offset the work that we kind of lost because of the general situation that was going on. So it was a tough year. I think this year is going to be a better year, but who knows at the moment? Who knows?
It's true. It's so unpredictable nowadays because everybody had a prediction in the beginning, right? Like, oh, we'll be dealing with this for a couple of weeks, couple of months, at the most, and then everything will be back to normal. And here we are, a year and some change later, and everything's still the same. We're kind of in the standstill.
Yeah, I mean, that first lockdown when they said they'd review it after 3 weeks, I think I genuinely thought that was going to be it. 3 weeks and we'd be all okay. And here we are, almost a year later. And even now, with the vaccinations and the great progress they've made there, they're still saying potentially we could be social distancing for the rest of the year. It's when you start to see there's an end in sight, you don't quite know what that end's going to be. I mean, getting the kids back to school would definitely be a great start, that's for sure.
And you wonder when being safe goes from being a precautionary thing to becoming a hindrance, right? Like, and especially in the case with kids in school, like it's very important that we keep our kids safe. Obviously, they're the future. You know, we love them. We obviously had them. We raised them, so we love them. And when they miss out on things like the social interactions that come along with school, because that's one of the key aspects of sending them to schools. A lot of people actually pay for that privilege, you know, because they want them to have higher influential social interactions with their kids. So that's really like the thing that they're kind of missing out. So you start to wonder, like, okay, how much of this is just precautionary, which is good, but how much of this is really becoming detrimental to like everything else in the world?
Yeah, and the crisis has been particularly hard on young people, and I think the longer term effects they're going to see rippling on much further than other generations. I think that.
Yeah, I mean, I did feel for my little boy because he was going. This is all happening for his first year, right? Reception in school or kindergarten, as you guys call it.
Same as my middle one, then. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like you want them to have that first experience, like without like you had, and like other people. You don't want it to be like marred, but at the same time, I feel like maybe these kids that have gone through this have learned lessons that we probably didn't learn when we were younger. Social distancing is a great practice anyway, regardless of a pandemic. I mean, to a degree. I mean, I'm a people person, right? I offer a service for the people of Shrewsbury, but to a degree, I fucking hate people, right? They do my head in. Like have you ever been in CEX when you're trying to look at someone and you're just crowded by really horrible, smelly people that really like their video games and stuff? Like you're just like, oh, fuck off. I don't like my personal space being invaded, but at the same time, there's that social aspect that they're probably going to be missing. Yeah,
that's a great stereotype of CEX, by the way.
It's correct. I'm only joking. CEX, I love you. It's great for headphones. I've got no problem with buying secondhand headphones and sterilizing them. These bad boys here, Sennheiser ones, they're from CEX. So make sure you buy secondhand.
CEX if you want to buy a little bit of our time. Fucking just don't listen to Alex. Just pretend like you didn't say all that.
Absolutely. What's the feel? Because obviously we've got this similar sort of drive when it comes to our town. Because you run Love Shrewsbury as well, which is a website designed to share the good news of Shrewsbury. So what's it been like watching the developments, the trials and tribulations? You know, we work with good people that have lost their businesses, that have had struggles. What's it been like seeing all that unfold before your eyes?
That's tough. I think the exciting thing the last couple of weeks has been the stuff around the Big Town Plan. I've attended quite a few of the online webinars that they've been running. And I think there's some really exciting ideas and concepts that are coming out of that for the future of the town. I like the idea of reducing traffic within the town.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes it a much nicer space, much nicer place to be in. Some of the work they're doing around the kind of the public spaces, the green spaces, it's just going to make, and even some of the examples that they found of where these things have been done in other places, I think work really well. So I think that's a real exciting thing that they're doing at the moment, and I really hope that some of the stuff that comes out of that Big Town Plan we actually get to see implemented in the next sort of 10-15 years, because it's once your eyes get open to these things, you kind of think, oh, I want it now, as opposed to having to wait.
The riverfront is going to be one of the most exciting aspects. I think they're going to. So we're talking about Shrewsbury now, by the way. Shrewsbury is it's a very traditional looking town. You got the black and white thatch buildings everywhere. But the problem is it's a town that's in a river loop. It can't expand outwards. It can't go anywhere, and you can't build up because you have all these grade 1 listed buildings everywhere that you can't knock down to build skyscrapers. It's literally stuck there. So they have to be really sort of creative with the space. And one of the ways is to sort of move traffic out of the town and sort of bypass it with this new road they're going to build, which is very controversial, by the way. There's a lot of people arguing about that. I'm both for it and against it, by the way. I'm kind of like, oh, whatever. I get the aspects of the wildlife. I get that, but at the same time, what are you gonna do? It's one of them. But yeah, Shrewsbury's changing. That's really fun to see.
Yeah, but it is sad to see, especially with all the retail being closed at the moment and some of the businesses that are struggling.
Yeah.
Clearly, the retail is on the decline. I think it has been for a long time, and we're only going to see that more and more with empty shops and in some cases empty shopping centres. So it's trying to get ways around that and thinking what you can repurpose this space for is going to be important. I don't think we're going to be able to have trampoline parks everywhere, but there's maybe one or two.
I feel like when the world opens again, there's going to be a huge incentive. There needs to be something clever being done with sort of government, both America and in the UK, across the world. There's got to be an incentive for people to go out there and start their own businesses. They can't just up business rates and be like, we're going to keep things the same. Don't worry about it. We're going to charge you for your teeth, tax you for your nose. So you struggle to make a business. There needs to be something put in place where people can be free to spread their wings and make some money, because at the end of the day, the payback is going to be what they give back to the government in their taxes and what they earn.
Yeah, and there's some great places in town, whether it's Hickories or Dough and Oil or Stop Cafe, or all these other places. There's so many of these nice little places in the town that it's I can't wait to get back out into start eating out again.
Are restaurants and some things closed in your neck of the woods, Tom? Are they all still closed, or are there some that's open? What's going on there?
They are and they aren't. Like it's limited seating, that type of situation. Like me and the wife are going out for Valentine's Day tomorrow. And we're going to a Japanese steakhouse, and we're like 90, so we go to dinner at like 3:00 in the afternoon, so we can beat the rush and get back home.
It's a Sunday though. It's a Sunday. It's all right.
Yeah, it's Sunday. And like all like the really great places for Valentine's Day were like already booked. Like if you want to like a table at the Guild, which is this really, really nice steakhouse, you should have put it in like a year ago or something. So we're going to like one of our go-to Japanese steakhouse type places, which is fine. It's got a hibachi grill, and we get to sit there and hold hands and be cute and eat sushi. But like when it's very limited. Like they're only working at like maybe half capacity, if that. And I'm very fortunate to live in a state that's very small. Like, and also in the same sense, it's not good because everybody's been moving here. We have like 3 new neighbors in my block. They're all from out of Vermont, and like, not to sound like a guy it's like, hey, don't come to my state, but it's like same point in time, it's like, fuck, man, this was really like the reason that we've been so fortunate with such little corona cases, because we have such a small population. We're very rural. We've always been very understanding about other people's personal space as it is. And now it's kind of changing a little bit, so I'm kind of hoping that we get a little bit tighter rein on corona itself before Vermont starts falling prey to the same issues that every other state does.
We have the similar sort of thing. I think they were talking about in the press that Shropshire is going to be a COVID haven for people because there's lots of open space.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. That's what I saw. I saw in the news.
Harsh words.
Shropshire is going to be a COVID haven because there's lots of open space in Shropshire.
Okay.
But
I guess that's a good thing.
Well, I was driving around Shrewsbury earlier because we live in Sutton Grange, that side of town. And there's all these new estates. There's a massive, huge estate. I didn't realize how big it was till I drove past them. Because when you're driving normally, you can't really look around. But Kaz was driving, my wife. So I got to actually have a look around. But there's this massive, massive estate that they've built up the end there. And all the houses, even the half-built ones, have got sold. They're building all these houses and they're all fucking sold. Like, it's crazy how quickly things are growing,
Well, it's the housing crisis in a nutshell, isn't it? Really, it's people need houses, and in general, we just don't build enough houses for them to live in. So it's one of the reasons that the house prices are so high.
And also because now people have a little bit more like money, like we've got a couple corona relief packages now, and like that's how me and Shona my wife end up having enough money to get our house. We need like six grand when it's all said and done, and we live very tightly. Like we never struggle for anything, but like we generally don't have 6-7 grand just laying around. It all goes to bills, so we can be responsible people and live life the way that you're supposed to live it. So like having that type of disposable income to put down on something as great as a house, it was never really in our future. Then the corona packages hit and we had money and we squirreled it away, and so like no, this is house money, perfect, great, awesome. And I think that's like something that's happening with a lot of people. So now everyone's kind of buying up real estate, which is great, but at the same point in time, it's jacking up prices everywhere on houses because they're obviously it's a huge want right now.
Very sensible of you, I've got to say. You could have just put it on the football or something, or Bitcoin or something.
That's a good point. Bitcoin. Have you heard about all this Bitcoin shit? Yeah.
Oh, I'm heavily involved.
Can you please explain to me what the fuck is going on? Because I'm not. I really am not.
It's just an asset you can buy like anything else. It's just another way to invest your money and potentially get a return. And at the moment we're in a bull run, so it's very hard to lose money. But at some point, the bull run will end and it will come crashing down. And I suspect a lot of people will lose money.
Well, it's the biggest lure to it is that it's like almost like a universal currency. And people have been talking about that for years, because if you go to Africa to America, the ruble becomes this, or the American dollar is worth this. Everything's worth a slightly different percentage depending on where you are. When I was in Jamaica, $500 Jamaican is like 325 here. So I was like, well, how is that making any sense whatsoever? So Bitcoin being like a universal currency is very appealing to a lot of people, because that your Bitcoin spends the same everywhere that you go that accepts Bitcoin.
Exactly. And a lot of the it's called gold 2.0. It has a lot of the same properties of gold, and in some ways it is a better alternative anyway, because you don't have to have gold to store it. You don't have to pay to store it anyway, or the security relation side of things. So yeah, it's an exciting area. It's something that I follow quite closely and have a lot of interest in.
So is it just data? Sorry, Tom. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good. It is data. It's just data. That's all it is. And did you hear about that guy who bought a bunch of Bitcoin back when it was virtually worthless, and then his hard drive got thrown away?
Yes.
And yeah. So like it's data, but it still stores just like any other data does. So if you have like, how does that work exactly? They give you like a number that is represented to, or
they call them keys. So you have a public key and a private key. This guy lost his private keys on a hard drive, and you hear various stories of people looking around landfill sites trying to find knackered old hard drives just so they can try and restore £10 million worth of Bitcoin or something.
Can you imagine if this was like back in the day when, like, how the Aztecs really worship gold? They build all their statues out of it, and they had like their major buildings coated in it. Just imagine if Bitcoin's around there. Like, look at all of our data we have. We have so much data. We trade you land for data.
Like a Minecraft temple.
Yeah, dude. Like that's the next thing, right? Like they're gonna have you VRing something. Oh my god, it's horrible. They're gonna have you mining Bitcoin out of the ground.
You're gonna have to stand there on your VR.
Yes.
Sketch.
Oh my god, I love it so much. I would so be invested in Bitcoin. Be like, dude, I'm just gonna go mine me some Bitcoin, bro. I'm gonna hit a rich vein of Bitcoin eventually. I'll be so rich.
Well, I don't think I'll ever get into it, but where are good places to go where you can find trustworthy advice on stuff like this? Because imagine Reddit is just a fucking minefield of just useless information, apart from one subreddit that might be interesting.
Which is Wall Street Bets, so obviously.
Yeah.
Don't go to Robinhood. Don't trust
Yeah.
those guys.
That was phenomenal, by the way. I fucking applaud the guys who did that with the GameStop stuff. That was just fantastic.
It kept me riveted for about 2 weeks. I could not take my eye off it. I mean, that 1 week, sort of the first week of February, wasn't it? It was just like the best thing ever. That incredible, absolutely incredible.
Pete. Okay, so I've been having this new favorite question at the end of, like, because we're coming up on the end of our show.
Yeah.
And it is my favorite thing to ask people because we get to meet you as you are. You know, we know Pete White, the website maker, the business owner, you know, the lovely man that you are, but we don't know anything about you from your past. I'm certain that you didn't always want to be, you know, a business owner who makes websites for people. What'd you want to be as a kid?
I want to be an astronaut. I mean, literally, there was no hesitation there either. I honestly was obsessed with space. The space shuttle was the big thing. You know, when I was growing up in the 90s, I had books on it and all sorts. Yeah, I wanted to be a astronaut. I couldn't think of anything worse right now. Last thing I'd want to do, but growing up.
The allure of space, like, I mean, and people always say, like, we understand more about space than we do about our own oceans, which is fine and all, but there's something about space, right? It's the setting for some of the greatest movies in history. It's like the great mystery still. It's the only thing that we don't know everything. I mean, once again, as Billy said, the ocean, but who cares about the ocean? Fuck sharks. There's no sharks in space, guys, and if there are, they're terrifying, so don't go. But it's like one of the last.
I see Sharknado.
Yeah, Sharknado. Except
Sharknado in space.
Dude, I'd watch that movie. I think they'd buy me back in for like, yo, Sharknado in space. But it's the final frontier, and everybody wants to be in space. I love that. I love that about you, man, because it speaks a lot. Because you're a technology, you're a guy that loves his technology, and what's it take to get into space? But amazing, the highest end technology there is.
Exactly. And even some of my favorite films of the recent years, whether it's Interstellar or Ad Astra, those sorts of things. I've got somebody joining me down here.
Oh, mate.
So yeah, astronaut.
I watched a brilliant film the other day called Greenland.
Yes, we watched it too on Amazon, actually. Yeah, it was really good.
Oh my God, if you've not seen that film, watch it. It's about a comet that's about to hit the Earth. It's got Gerard Butler in it, and it's more. What I love about this film is you very rarely see the asteroid or any destruction or anything. It's more about how fucking awful people are, how terrible people are, and I was kind of like, I don't know if it was made post-pandemic or pre-pandemic, but I was kind of like, if they made this before the pandemic, they got it fucking nail on the head, because it's just terrible. Yeah,
I love a good disaster movie.
Yeah, yeah.
See, like, I like that, and I want to watch it now because that just sounds excellent. But like, my favorite part of Armageddon is how they turn the asteroid into like Godzilla, essentially. Like, he's coming for you, asteroid. Oh man.
Yeah.
Pete, I'd love to give you quickly before we sort of venture into our later lounge and geek out a bit. I'd love to give you an opportunity to sort of talk about Web Orchard and tell people why they should come to you for a website, or why do people want your help?
Oh, you've put me on the spot now, Alex. Yeah. But I'd like to think people come to us because we do a good job.
You do.
We do some really cool. We've got a really good team actually, and we do some really nice websites, and we've got some really good solutions to very common website problems that people have. I don't want to spend all day pitching, but I just like to think, we do a pretty good job on these things.
I'll do it for you right now if you want, man. I got you.
Cheers,
I've been doing
Tom.
it every
Cheers,
week.
Tom.
All right. So, guys, Pete White from Web Orchard, he is a man of dedication. He first came up with the idea for Web Orchard on top in the ship Nostromo while he was fighting off xenomorphs in the mindset they're like, hey, we can't have this plague of aliens getting to our planet. So after he completely wiped them out and lost a little girl and a Marine in the process and got dropped in some lead, he then Whedon came back to Earth, where he started a business, which is what we run our platform on today. It is an amazing website. And guess what, guys? Building a website is hard. It really is. It takes smart people like Pete right here. We're idiots. We're all people that can barely rub two rocks together. So guess what? If you want a beautiful, functional website that is made by some of the best people out there, you definitely need to go check out webwatch.com right now.
Tom, I'm going to get you to do our pitches. I mean,
Please.
at the beginning of any future pitches that we do on Zoom, I'm going to get you in for that first 2 minutes. You're like the hype man.
I really am. I'm the Flavor Flav of websites. I promise you.
You definitely want Bruno and not me, because I'd be like, Pete White, he's more popular than Gina Carano and Joss Whedon right now. I don't think that goes for anybody at the moment. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. I'm fairly certain Hitler's more popular than Gina Carano right now. They're like, that Hitler guy, he wasn't a bad guy.
I can't believe we went there, but yes, we did. Pete, thank
Hitler
you so
was
much for joining us on the show. You're welcome to come and sort of geek out with us anytime. That talk about all gaming and stuff like that, that's what we love, man. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Really, no, cheers for having me, guys. It's been really good fun.
Thank you for everything you do for us. Guys, make sure you go to Web Orchard if you need a website, because Pete will make you something very special. Okay, so what we tend to do now, Pete, is we let our guests go. We're going to talk about Joss Whedon now and kind of what's been going on the internet and find out what we've been up to this week. But ladies and gentlemen, Pete White, thank you so much for joining us.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me. All the best. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Bye. Hey, hold on. We've got something. There we go. We're in the later lounge. Ooh.
Do you think the Nostromo was too far? I mean, like I was sitting there, I'm like, he likes space. He'd probably appreciate that, and he knew exactly what I was talking about. It'd be really weird if he was like, "What the fuck's the Nostromo? What are you talking about right now?"
He's a
Joss
cool guy.
Whedon's a piece of shit. Yes, Pete White is not. Pete White is an amazing guy who will build you a beautiful website. So definitely go to webwatch.com. Joss Whedon's a piece of shit.
I mean, we've been hearing things about this, right?
Yeah.
Now, this has all come about, obviously, because of Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg in Justice League. He kind of like, well, fuck that guy. I'm never going to work for him ever again. And everybody's like, whoa, we're all having a good time. What the fuck's going on here? Like, we're just having a good time. Like, and then people are like, okay, what's going on here? And then everybody's kind of like, yeah, no, he's got a point. He's fucking horrible. It says here, I've got loads of articles here so we can properly dive into it. It says here, the director was recently come under fire from actors who have starred in his productions, with Ray Fisher making complaints against him in 2020 and several others commenting on his behavior in recent days. Most notable comments have come from Buffy's Charisma Carpenter, who suggested he fired her after he made a series of passive-aggressive comments and created a toxic and hostile working environment. It says Ray Fisher starred in Justice League, written and directed by Whedon in 2017. The actor who plays Cyborg in the film accused Whedon in 2020 of gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable behavior. Fisher added that Jeff Johns, the president of DC Entertainment, and producer John Berg enabled such a behavior. And film production company Warner Bros. Stated that these were false allegations due to Fisher being unhappy with the direction his character was taking in the storyline. But Fisher then went further, claiming that Whedon altered the character's skin tone post-production. This is a massive article. This is huge. It goes on for ages. But I've got loads here. David Boreanaz, who obviously played Angel, he's keeping his lips tightly sealed. So people are like, come on, please come talk to us. Tell us what's going on. He's been a dude about it. He doesn't want to say anything. But on the Metro as well, it says here, Joss Whedon allegations to cause catastrophic damage to career. His brand has become an egomaniacal. Fuck off, Metro. We are weird.
Yeah,
words.
fuck you.
Dumpster fire of toxicity.
I don't know. See, here's the thing: is like, who did the Shining movie? I can never remember his name. I'm tired. Hey guys, I worked the night shift last night, so I'm a little tired. The Shining movie. What the fuck's his name? He also did Space 2001. Stanley Kubrick. Stanley
Okay.
Kubrick did The Shining, and he was like notoriously bad to Shelley Duvall, right? Like he drove her fucking nuts so he could make this movie. And like it was very, very toxic. And from what I understand, he's a bad guy, but there's something to be said about people. And I'm not saying that it's okay what he did. Like, this is not me being like, Joss Whedon is fine. What I'm saying is like there's always some space that's made for people that are tend to be known as brilliant if the art is good behind it.
Yeah. But the thing is,
But
we've all
is
worked.
this
Go on.
is this worse? Really quick, sorry to cut you off. Is this worse than, say, him if he was inappropriate with women? Like, obviously, it seems to be like he's across the board just shitty to people altogether. If he was just doing it to women, A, or B, if he was, let's say, getting a little handsy or something, is this worse than that?
I think the thing is, when someone's a bit handsy, yeah, that's very cunty, right? If someone's going
Mhm.
to do that, that's horrible. Should be fired.
Yes.
Should never work again. But
Yes.
when
Yes.
you're like this, when you're toxic like this, the abuse can hit anyone. It can go anyone. Like if you're a guy, if you're a girl, if you're pretty, if you're ugly, if you're talented, if you're not talented. If it's a bad day, you're just gonna get it. And it's not very good for these people. Like, no matter what, how you want to dress it up, actors are put under a lot of pressure, man. You've got a script to remember, a direction they've got to follow. It's not easy. You're under a lot of pressure. And when someone breathing down your neck, the way apparently Joss Whedon's been doing this for since Buffy, I wonder why it's taken up until now for people to start opening up about these things.
Well, I think it's because, like, it's a really good question because, like, even when he was doing Buffy, he wasn't, Joss Whedon, Avengers Joss Whedon. So, like, it's not like he had all the huge blockbusters under his belt by then. But I think it's because, like, almost everything he did do made money. Buffy made money for a very long time. The original Buffy movie was historically bad, but people loved it as a cult movie. Do you have a listing of the movies that Joss Whedon did by chance?
I'm pulling it up right now. Great minds think
You're the
alike.
man.
Don't they?
Yeah, great minds think alike.
I
It's
should
just
have
like
had it
everything
pulled up
else we do.
before. Because
Yeah, because it's not like you did everything else and I just showed up. My bad.
Yeah.
Which is totally what happened, just like every week. So, yeah, once you get that up, I want to hear the movies that he did because I'm pretty certain that he didn't have a bad movie for a very long time.
He did Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV series. He did Agents of Shield, Justice League, Lurk, Age of Ultron, Avengers Assemble, Cabin in the Woods, um, the Astonishing X-Men. He's done a few forgettable things. Angel, Firefly. He's done some amazing stuff. Though. Atlantis, The Lost Empire, Titan AE, Alien Resurrection,
yeah.
Toy Story.
Yeah. That's
was-
why, right there, because when you make a list of movies like that and TV shows that have made studios money and money and money, they tend to forget about people who the actors, that they feel that they're kind of expendable.
Well, that's it, isn't it? And there's always someone waiting in the corridor. It should be like a more competitive industry when it comes to directing movies. If there's somebody around the corner, younger, fresh talent that can do the job just as well, it should be a case of if you fuck up, mate. If you make someone's life hell on set because you're an egotistical maniac, as Metro very weirdly put it, then there's going to be someone step in your shoes and you'll be fired. Like it's just a weird thing. But have you ever worked in a toxic environment like that where someone's just going to literally fucking ruin you if you make a decision, a bad decision? Or...
Yeah. So I worked at IBM, which is a computer chip making. It's manufacturing plant for computer chips. And like I'm a boisterous guy. I'm kind of exactly the way I am now, maybe a little bit more toned down now than I was in my early 20s, but I'm still essentially the same.
I believe that.
Yeah. I like to talk, and I like to have fun. So I was working with a bunch of people that were of a certain age demographic, and they did not care for my boisterous way that I was, and they didn't care for the way that I said things. So they end up making my life really bad at this job, and it was just, I just dreaded going in every single day. There's like certain songs, like music is a thing of time, correct? Like you hear me, and of course you'll continue to listen to these songs, but like generally speaking, if you fall in love with a song, it brings you back to a certain place. There's certain songs I will not listen to this day because I would listen to them on my trip into work at that time, because it just brings back like a PTSD moment of like, fuck, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. Like so bad. Like these people were in their 50s and 60s, Alex. And I had this purple little cooler. That's what I brought my lunch in. And I drank Diet Coke. I still love Diet Coke to this day. So I had Diet Coke in my purple little cooler. It was in the lunch thing. That was the community thing. Now, this older lady that worked in the same place I did, she had a purple lunchbox and she loved Diet Coke. Now, here's the other problem with having a community fucking fridge is people can take shit out of your bags. It happened to me a bunch. You know, I would open up my bag, be like, fuck, I'm missing one of my sodas. What the hell? So I was grabbing my sodas out of my bag one night, and somebody said that I was grabbing sodas out of her bag. So she decided that the correct thing to do as a 50-something, 60-year-old woman was to take my shoes out of my locker and hide them. So I went to my yeah, totally, dude. It was
what the fuck?
I don't know. So I went, and the thing is, like at work, like you had to wear special shoes that were like non-static producing shoes because you're working with, hundreds of $1,000s worth of computer chips that can't have you like frying off all that money. So I went to my boss with my special shoes that cost like triple the amount that regular shoes cost, and I was like, dude, my shoes are missing from my locker. This is what the thing is. I held up my little purple lunchbox. I was like, this is my lunchbox. It says my name right here. I drink Diet Cokes, pulled out my 2 empty Diet Coke cans. I'm like, I don't know what her problem is, but like her, bullshit is got to go. She's an adult. And I'm like, by the way, I'm wearing these shoes outside right now because I'm not going to walk home barefoot. And I wore my very expensive shoes out. I came back home. I came back to work. There was an email written about how ludicrous everybody was acting. I got a brand new pair of shoes from my boss that night because I couldn't wear those shoes on the floor any longer. And I ended up leaving that job like 2 weeks later, dude. Like I found a new job, and he was very supportive about me, like making sure I was very comfortable leaving that place because it was not okay.
It's not very good, man. It's not very nice to work in that environment. It really isn't, because everybody's there to earn money. I mean, I remember I got a job as an assistant manager at an arcade. It was more like a casino, slot machines, a bingo hall at the back, right? I was a bit of everything. I'd call bingo. I'd have my own safe with thousands of pounds in. And when money came out of the machines, I would count it all up and swap the notes for the coin. That was my job, right? I had to make sure everything was ticking over. Now, the problem is I was 21 years old. So I was like the youngest person there. I was the only guy. And I had this manager who would pretend that she's got my back and we're at this partnership and we're okay and I can come to her for anything. But then she'd slag me off behind my back to all the other women. It was just a horrible, terrible place. And I remember there was this woman that was in her 60s, and she was fucking awful. You'd ask her to do something, she'd tell you no to your face. Like, I've been working here 25 years. You're telling me to? Yes, I am, because I'm getting paid to do that. That's my job, right? And I remember I came down the stairs from the bingo hall once, and there were three of the women just stood there at the front. And I heard this one girl who was particularly always just moody and horrible to everyone, really, not just me. But she was like, who the fuck does he think he is, telling me to do this, doing the jumping on bingo? It's my time to do it and everything. And I was stood behind her as she was saying it. And I was like, right, can you go make coffee? I want you cleaning machines. I need a word with you. And I've never been assertive, right? I was an assistant manager, but I was kind of more like, I want people to like me. I was kind of like the Michael Scott kind of guy. Yeah. But I leaned into it and I was like, look, I get what you're saying. I totally understand it. But the thing is, I'm 21 years old. I can learn to get better at this job. You will always be a cunt. Now, can you do me a favor? Count up this desk because I'm going home in an hour. You've got to be here all night. So crack on. And she was just like, it was just fucking...
That's hilarious. I love that so much.
I always remember that because... like, there was so many times in my life when I could have absolutely fucking flipped and just gone, but that was just one of the most calculated and brilliant responses I ever had. I didn't last very long.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, it's it's fucked, right? Because like we need money to live. Like unless you're like a trust fund kid or something along those lines, we need money to live. And there's nothing worse than having to, because nobody wants to do this unless you're very fortunate enough to work at a job that you really love and it is not like working at all. Work is work. Like I don't mind my job. I like it just fine. I like what I do. I like the people I work with, but it's still a job and I don't like going there per se. If you're to be like, hey Tom, like, okay, so for an instance, Monday is President's Day. I completely forgot it was a holiday, which was like the greatest surprise ever. I was like, oh my God, an extra day off. Awesome. And right now my job is offering holiday pay and time and a half for going in. Like it's a lot of money, dude. It is nothing to shake a stick at. If I was to go and I'd be earning, and I'm sorry to sound gross about it, I'd earn like almost $250 just from going in for 8 hours. But I don't care. Like money's never been my thing, man. My happiness and my sound state of mind has always been my thing, and spending time with my family has always been my thing. So if you're like, hey Tom, your kids have the day off and you have the day off, are you gonna, go to work and make more money? It's like, no, man, I'm gonna spend time with my family and be with people I love because that's what's important to me. So it's nothing worse than when you have to go somewhere to feed family, to earn money, to be a functioning member of society, and just to have like that little extra nonsense to make you not want to go in even more.
Yeah, and I guess that's valuable. By the way, I mean you're living for today, not tomorrow, and I think that's really important. But I mean, we're complaining about sort of work as being like the regular average Joe, right? I'm happy with being that, right? I'm nothing special. Imagine if you're Ray Fisher and you've got the whole fucking world watching what you're doing because you're working with Joss Whedon and you said something bad against him. Imagine what that pressure's like. So I'm answering my own question from earlier. Actually, why is this just coming to light now? And it's because this is what happens. Ray Fisher opened up Pandora's fucking box with this shit, and it's not going to go away. Now it seems to be happening quite a bit at the moment. There seems to be a lot of really cunty behavior that's kind of coming to light, and people are really acting against it. I mentioned Gina Carano as a joke at the end of Pete White's interview there. We're not going to go into that too much because there's a lot of for and against and a lot of terrible arguments going on. But
I don't even know what she did. Like I've kind of like read little blips about it, but the thing is, like, I'm also a big supporter of the Second Amendment or the First Amendment, whichever one it is. I'm such an asshole. I believe in freedom of speech, 100%. Like I unless you're really hurting somebody like physically, you should be able to say what you want. I don't have to agree with what you say, but I will fight for your right to say it. I've always been a big believer in that because that's how we get to do what we do. Is we can say whatever we want. We don't have some sort of like dictatorship leaning on us. So I that's how I feel about that. But at the same exact point in time, like if your words are so negative that they're impacting somebody in a way that they're going to end up committing suicide or they're going to do something, that's the bad part. But other than that, it's just your opinion. Like opinions like assholes. Everybody has one.
I think there's got to be a fine line. Could be there's a line right there, and I think yes, you got freedom of speech. You do have freedom of speech, but to a point where you are causing damage. Like okay, so you can say freedom of speech is fine, but when you're Donald Trump and you're going, we're gonna go to the Capitol, we're gonna give them hell, and then you've got people in the crowd going, we're going to the Capitol, we're going to the Capitol, and the next thing you know, they're storming the fucking Capitol. That happened because of freedom of speech. Right, and this Gina Carano thing. Oh, I keep pronouncing her name wrong. I'm trying to find a copy of a tweet, and basically what she'd done is she compared the losing. She talked about how the Holocaust victims weren't put straight into concentration camps; they were jeered and they were knocked by just the neighborhood. Right, there was just normal people that were doing that to the Jews in World War II, and she was like, "That's how things are for us conservative people that are lost today." She basically she compared the losing conservatives to how Jews were treated in World War II.
Well, that just makes her a fucking idiot. Like that's not really damaging anything because we all know that's a stupid thing to say because obviously that being a conservative is not the same thing as being a Jew after the Holocaust.
Yeah,
or during the Holocaust.
And this was like the third strike. I think the one before was all pro-Trump. She was all for like, storming the Capitol, anti-mask wearing, and then there was one before where they were talking about somebody asked her why she doesn't declare sort of her gender, because there's a lot of people doing that on Twitter now. They put their gender and what they are, and she was like, I don't feel like I have to, and she put as her thing as beep bop beep, and that was basically very transphobic sort of.
Is it though? I mean, like, I find that kind of funny actually, because like I'm not really big into PC culture. Here's the double-edged sword of PC culture. Things like Joss Whedon are being pulled out. Things like Bill Cosby are being pulled out. Things like Harvey Weinstein are being pulled out because people are being more self-aware and trying to build a better world and not let things like this be swept under the rug. But at the same exact point in time, like I everyone's very uppity about making sure you use the right pronouns. Now, if you tell me, Alex, if you're to wake up tomorrow morning and be like, Tom, I want you to refer to me as a woman, I'd be like, okay, man, I'm going to respect your decisions because I love you as a person. Like, it doesn't matter what you declare yourself as or who you think you might be or who you are. In fact, I don't want to be rude. But I'm going to respect you because I love you. Now, if that's not the way she thinks, she thinks it's a little overblown sometimes, which it can be, regardless of what you think or say or what's appropriate to be said, sometimes the shit can be gone a little overboard. So if she's just kind of making a joke about it, I don't really see that as being transphobic. I feel like she's more making light of the fact that people are making a big deal about it. Maybe. I mean, I might be off kilter too. Don't get me wrong.
I think it's because the first tweet, the beep bop beep thing, caused such a thing, and Disney were kind of like, okay, it's fine, just reel it in a bit. And then she started doing all the anti-masking thing. They were kind of like, fucking just, okay, we're a bit uncomfortable here, Disney. Are like, and then she did this thing about the Holocaust. So right, that's fucking it. Like, off you go. Like they're calling cancel culture, but you've got to take consequences for your actions, right? You've got to. That's not cancel culture. Cancel culture is when someone does a thing and people ignore them and they refuse to watch anything considered with that person in. No one's saying they're not going to watch Mandalorian. I think the people are fans of Gina are saying that now, but no one's going, we ain't watching the Mandalorian because Gina Carano is a cunt. They're like, well, they're giving a shit on Twitter and they're saying, Disney, do something about it. That's the difference. And Disney have decided, yes. You remember James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy? He got fired for tweets he made in like 2011 or 12 or something like that because that's what they did. They went back on his Twitter and they found these inappropriate things. They fired him. What if they're going to do that to James fucking Gunn? Why are they not going to do that to Gina?
They fired him.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Fired him.
They fired him.
Then they were like, will you come back, please? He's like, okay.
Yes, everybody wants you to come back, please. Because we all know that he's doing Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And that's the other thing is they're like, can you please kindly just shut the fuck up and step aside for like 30 seconds so we can control this dumpster fire? And that's the big thing is like everyone's got to remember that she is an employee of Disney at this point, at least in the Mandalorian respect of it all. When she's filming The Mandalorian, which is a Star Wars product, which is a Disney product, you are working for Disney. So if your views don't correlate with if they're not the same views that Disney's holding or they're causing bad press from, they're not going to keep you around. So it has nothing to do with cancel culture. It's about, have some respect for your fucking workplace and understand that, yeah, your opinion is yours, but when you say it publicly like this, it reflects poorly on you.
Yeah. But I feel like they've made a mistake, though, in firing her. I really do. And this is after me going away and thinking about it. Because at first, I even put a Facebook thing up going, oh, that was nice to wake up to next to that she's been fired. But then I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it a lot. And what they've done now, they've made a martyr out of her. She'll be like, right, they fired me. Now I'm going to get my own TV channel. I'm going to spread my word. This is what I'm going to be. I'm going to be as Nazi as fuck as I like, right? That's what she's going to do.
Ben Shapiro offered her a show on his channel, like right off the bat. He's like, I'm a freedom of speech guy, so you can do it, which is kind of strange, right? Because Ben Shapiro is, in fact, not holistic Jew. He's just a Jewish gentleman who, obviously has been called a Nazi himself. And it's funny that the lady that compared the Jews and to the alt-right or the right movement is now working for one of the biggest moguls that really speaks about his religion. It's interesting.
The thing is, I don't even think she's that racist or that transphobic. I just feel like she's doubling down on her freedom of speech thing. I feel like what she said is been possibly misconstrued, But she, instead of going, okay, I'm going to be more careful with what I say, she's gone, fuck it, I'm going to carry on saying what I want, whether you like it or not. And then what's happened is she got fired, and she's gone, oh, why have I got fired? You know,
What happened here? What?
I feel like when the crosshairs on you, you kind of just get your head down a little bit, you know, sort of let it blow over. That's what used to happen when you fuck up. They'd be like, right, okay, just get your head down for a bit, calm down, let it all blow over, and then we'll crack on. But no, she was like, nah, bam, bam, fired. Anyway, let's move on from that. Let's talk about what we've been up to this week, because we could get ourselves into trouble by talking about that too much. I have completed the monster trilogy. I've done Kong, Godzilla, and Godzilla King of the Monsters this week.
Ooh, yeah.
I am now ready for Godzilla versus King Kong. I love those movies. Kong I watched, and I wasn't a big fan of it, because I thought I don't know what it was. I was kind of like, I didn't like Samuel L. Jackson's character, but like watching it a second time, I really related to him. I was kind of like, this guy is haunted
I'm sick
by
of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane too.
Yeah, motherfucker. He's a guy haunted by what? I didn't relate to him. I kind of understood his character a bit more. That's the best way to put it. Okay. I was never in Vietnam, so I can't relate. But I love these films. They're so fucking good.
Something about big monsters that's like the same reason I love Pacific Rim. Like Pacific Rim is not generally a great movie. It's really well shot movie, but because it has giant robots fighting giant monsters, it's always like a winner to me in my book.
It's with Godzilla. It's the message. I didn't realize. I never realized, because I'd never been a fan of Godzilla, but the whole it's a message about the nuclear bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. Is kind of like, we're stronger because of it.
Yeah.
And that's what Godzilla is all about. I was like, fuck hell, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because there's, that's the thing that people are saying, like Godzilla used to stand for this and it used to have a deeper meaning, and now it just stands for big monster. I'm like, what's wrong with big monster? What's wrong with just enjoying movies? Everybody feels like your movie has to say something to culture. It has to do something to move the ball forward. But really, what happened to just movies being fucking movies? Like, do you think that anyone made The Wizard of Oz thinking that it was going to impact fucking culture in a positive way and that women were going to start having rights or something? No, it was made for fucking joy.
I love how they found a way for Godzilla to almost talk to them. I was like, oh, it was almost like Lassie, like he's glowing at them. He's like, what is it? It's intimidation. He's basically going, follow me. There's a thing over here. It was so brilliant. I love that. He lassied them.
How great would it have been if they did like a Taco Bell type thing for him? Because remember, we watched the Taco Bell commercial for
Chihuahua.
Zilla. Yeah, the Chihuahua. All of a sudden, he holds up, like, what's he trying to say? Drink Monster Energy. Fucking.
Right. Okay. Here's what we do. Without looking at any spoilers or reading any sort of Facebook things, should we throw down a wager who's going to win? Kong versus Godzilla?
Sure. Yes. Yeah. What's the wager this time?
Same thing.
Fuck, it was so much fun for like the first half, and then it got so.
Did I overdo it? I was like,
no, you did exactly what you're supposed to do. You really did. But I was like, man, this is just one of those genie wishes I wish I could take back. Let's deal with the original idea. Let's try the original idea this time. Unless you really want I mean, don't get me wrong, because I really feel like you're doing this now so we can try to have the reversal, which I do anyways, just for the fun, because it looked like you were, you enjoyed the challenge of finding new ways to incorporate me into your sentences, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, I know you. Let's keep it the same bet. But here's the thing is, like, I don't think either of them are going to win.
I feel like they're going to play for a sequel. My genuine thought is Kong's going to kick fuck out of Godzilla. He's going to die, air quotations, and then he's going to come back.
Okay, so you feel like that in the end, okay, I'll agree with in the end, it's going to end up being nobody ends up winning. But that Kong is going to look like he is the...
Okay.
Is where I'm getting. So I'm going to...
So
here's the thing is, like, people can answer. Yeah, 100%. Then eventually, like, next time they're gonna fight even big. It's what they did with Mothra and Godzilla for Godzilla King of the Monsters, because they teamed up in that movie. Yeah. So like, they're gonna do the same thing. They're gonna fight. They're gonna be, let's fight and be mad monsters. And then all of a sudden, at the very end of it, one of them's gonna be alive, and then the next movie they're gonna have to be buddies and team up together to fight fucking ski drawn or some shit. I don't know. They're gonna have to fight fucking Gina Carruthers.
Joss
or whatever
Whedon.
the fuck her name is.
They have to fight Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon, yeah.
Get the fuck off
Cancel
my
culture
set.
people.
Rah!
That'd be fucking amazing. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna agree with you. But that doesn't make a good bet. I'm gonna go with Godzilla because we gotta have opposing views because one of us has to win and one of us has to lose. But no, because that's not the way I bet. Because what we're gonna do? What if we both lose? We're gonna fucking just talk nicely.
Okay,
about
what
each other the
sports
whole
are on
time?
ESPN 8 The Ocho that we can do a wager
The
on? 'Cause
Ocho.
there's
Dodgeball's on there.
who can we bet
Figure
against?
skating.
If anybody's listening to this and
what's-
thinks of something we could put a good wager on, this is a good one. I feel like if we could stick with this for now, and if we can find something better we could put a wager on, we'll do that. But we also, as well, suggestions for sort of what we can
Second
do if
chance
we
ever.
lose. Forfeits.
Yeah. We want to hear from you guys. We want to know
Yeah.
what we should be doing.
Where can they
for
hear
these
from us,
wagers.
Tom?
Hey, Alex, guess what? We have a website. Did you know that?
We do. Oh yeah. Well, I don't know the website address though.
Oh, well, that's so funny you asked me because I have the card right here. Let me just pull it out. So we get our website from WebOrchard.com is who makes our website. And guess what, guys? It's an amazing website. It's functional. It's beautiful. They took time to craft it. You know, Pete White, God bless him. He was just really on our podcast prior to this, and he took time out of his busy schedule from fighting giant monsters in New York City so he could come all the way over here just to build this website. That's the type of guy that he is, and that's the type of care that he'll put into your website. He's going to give you the dedication. He's going to ignore all the other world problems that are out there because trust me, he's trying to solve all of them because Pete White's a great guy. But guess what? Web Orchard is his baby, and he wants to be successful. So when you drop him a line, you're like, hey, Pete, can you please build us a website? He's going to stop everything. He's going to ignore his kids, his family, everything to build you a website. And it's going to be amazing. If you guys want to get a better idea, you should definitely check out the Shrewsbury Biscuit website, or definitely check it out first. The USUKnetwork.com website. It's just built by Web Orchard. What's up?
I was pointing at my Monopoly board at the back there.
Okay. Gotcha. I'm like, fuck, did I forget something? So definitely go to weborchard.com and get yourself an amazing website.
Amazing. Another great one, Tom. I love it. This has got to be the thing now. You're going to think of amazing things every week that
Yes.
Pete's done. That's your new thing.
Yes, it's what I'll do for you too on your birthday. Just let me know, and I'll be like, Alex Whiteley. Well, he was best friends with General Patton in World War II, and he was storming the beaches of Normandy. In fact, if you remember the movie Saving Private Ryan, he was the guy throwing all the grenades. It's amazing. I don't know how he never ages like some sort of a masculine vampire, but Alex Whiteley is a hero that we should all strive to be. The men want to be him, and women want him.
Fuck off. I'm the guy that picks up his own arm.
Yeah. That's such a good movie.
Patch
Let's
it
all
back
watch
on.
Saving Private Ryan.
Make sure you check out our website. Yeah, amazing. There's so much going on. There's obviously this show that we do. What's the difference? There's also USUK Chronicles with Jamie and Tom. They do such an amazing job there. They have so much fun, and they always bring in an amazing array of guests. The Weekly Bazaar is taking a bit of a break at the moment. I think when you hear this, it's going to be probably about 2 weeks out before it comes back for season 2. I want to change it up a bit. I want to put more of an effort into it, and I can't do that if it's a continuous thing. We need to sort of plan and get things looking nice. So the Weekly Bazaar is there, but all the audio is available on the website from all the past shows, the Podstars ones, and the older ones. There's also Wednesday Night Live, which is a bit like if you come and sit with us in the pub and chill with us, because you can chime in with the comments, you can have fun with us, and you know, if you really wanted to, you can come on the show. Yeah, just get in touch via the website. Right, I've had a good time, but I want to go and play some Star Wars, some pew pew. Pew pew. Right, this has been What's the Difference podcast. I'm Alex Whiteley, and Tom Bruno's muted.
And I am Tom Bruno.
Turn that shit on and see you later, guys.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Yeah.